Should you buy Doom: The Dark Ages? That is the question of today's video. The latest installment of the Doom franchise, The Dark Ages, does take the traditional Doom model and add a twist to it that is very impactful, and some people are going to absolutely love it, while some are going to yearn for the more classic feel of the games of old. To properly review this game, we're going to break it down into 4 unique sections: story, gameplay, audio and visuals, and performance. Every area will get a letter grade, and at the very end of this video, you will get my pure, unfiltered thoughts from immediately after finishing the game while the credits were rolling on screen. Every clip that you're seeing in this video is from the first 50% of the story as well, so no major spoilers, you don't have to worry about that. Let's not waste any more time. Let's start with the story of Doom: The Dark Ages.
Launch the Slayer immediately.
The way they deployed was so badass, dude. So sick. All a guy wants in this life is a suit of power armor, giant biceps, and a fur coat. What's he missing in life? Nothing. If you have never played a Doom game before, you are not going to be at any sort of disadvantage from what I can tell, because most of this campaign straight up is all about hype moments and aura. That's it. There are different factions like the Creed, the Makers, the Sentinels, and of course the Legions of Hell, and all of that story does get built up throughout the game, but there was never a moment where I thought, I don't know what's going on because I didn't play another Doom game. You do appear kind of right in the middle of the action. There's no build-up exposition. Right from the very first mission, there is an onslaught that you are called to help stop. But it doesn't feel like there's anything missing in the story from just a basic story standpoint of what the game spoon feeds you. For those that really love deep diving into the lore of video games, there are these items called codexes where you can grab more information in the game, but you have to go and find them in each level. It's a cool way to kind of build out more narrative, build out more of a story by making you search for it within the game and kind of piecing more information together as you go along. I do think that's nice, and for people that like more of a story, that's going to help, but you really aren't missing out on any sort of story implications if you haven't played a previous Doom. There are no incredible narrative twists. There's pretty much everything you can expect from a story like this, and it is completely serviceable. I'm not telling you the story is going to be something that rocks your socks, but you're going to see something, you're going to go, I bet they do something super badass in this moment. And then they will do something super badass in that moment. It's going to hit about like you expect, and that's honestly pretty nice. The story gets a B for me. It is solid. You don't need to play any other Doom games to understand it. It's not that deep, but what it tries to deliver on hype and aura, it delivers. Now let's review that gameplay, because this is the part of Doom that has a lot of people talking. Doom: The Dark Ages did not simply repeat a formula they know has success. They tried to innovate and put something new into the game, which they absolutely did with the shield and the parry system. And when I tell you the parry system is important, it is arguably the single most important part of this game is learning how to parry. Their decision to make parrying such a pivotal part of this game has some upsides, but admittedly also has some downsides. So let's talk about both. First, the good. Parrying gives you a variety of benefits in this game, not just the ability to block and attack, and it's because of all the perks that come attached with it, with the rune arcs for the different shields. You can have auto turrets, you can have these ethereal daggers that deal damage, you can have kind of shockwave effects. There's a lot that they've added to the parry on top of normal stuff like get some health and get some shield back with each successful parry. Parrying is also a really effective tool when you just can't get out of a situation, or you might actually be getting locked into a corner by big enemies that might be jumping at you. Parrying is just another tool in your toolkit that helps you in many different boss fights and horde fights that I found extremely helpful on a very regular basis. The downside, however, is parrying is simply not optional in this game. I don't think there is a possible way to get through the very end of the game, now that I have completed it, without having to learn parries and utilize parries on a very, very regular basis, specifically in boss fights. You may not have to parry a single time against hordes and swarms of enemies, and that does make it feel like old Doom, but when it comes to a boss fight, many bosses are going to require you to parry in at least some capacity, and you're just simply incentivized to given the amount of perks that are attached to parrying in this game. This becomes a negative when you've parried certain bosses or certain enemies often enough that it feels like you're just going through the parry motions, waiting for them to finish their attacks so you can finally shoot them. That does happen from time to time, and it creates a little bit of a monotonous loop. I never thought it was too bad, but it's definitely noticeable, and that's the biggest downside of this parry mechanic. Last part about gameplay, I thought the level design was excellent. There was different versions of levels throughout the game. There were some more open world levels where that was your opportunity to explore a lot of places. Maybe you had 5 objectives you had to do, and on your way to the 5, you could kind of explore and do them in whatever order you want. And then there were some very linear missions that required simply going forward, killing the room in front of you, going to the next room, killing the room in front of you. Very normal, very linear. I thought both were very good. I do feel like you're maybe missing out on the open world missions if you don't actually do all of the exploration, which some people may not like, but I found it enjoyable. The gameplay gets an A for me. I thought it was extremely fun, the movement was great, the run and gun shooting was fantastic, and the parrying was fun. It can't get an A+ because there is a little bit of that monotonous feeling every once in a while when you're parrying the same boss over and over again. But outside of those instances, I thought every part of the gameplay was extremely fun in the Dark Ages. Audio and visuals are up next, and let me tell you, the graphics and the sound design in Doom: The Dark Ages is absolutely outstanding. The demons you slay sound evil and gross, all of the gunshot sounds are visceral and deep and loud, and the sound you make when you jump from a high area and land, and that deep thud as you land and send shockwaves out from your feet, all of it is outstanding. It is so well done. They have absolutely made an incredible sound design for Doom, and all of the sound effects are unbelievably good. The music is where it falls a little bit short, and the music in the Dark Ages is outstanding, but you're trying to come from the Mick Gordon Doom games and then come into the Dark Ages, and it's just such a tall task. The music is honestly really good, but there's no songs in it that I hear and I'm like, wow, I'm going to add that to my workout playlist, like you might have heard in previous games. This isn't a bad thing. The music is still nice. It's just not top tier like some previous Doom games have been. Graphics-wise, I was very impressed. I played on PC. I have a 3080 Ti graphics card. It's a nice graphics card, but it's not like the top-of-the-line craziest thing you can get, and I thought the game ran beautifully. All the footage you're seeing right now was on the medium preset, so pretty much everything I had was just on the medium preset graphics, and I thought it looked great. And every once in a while, take a look at the skybox and you're going to see some really interesting set pieces behind you up in the air as you're fighting. And not to mention the design of the maps, all of the different things where it's like the creatures' bodies piling up in different areas, the technological stuff that belonged to the makers and that crew, the castle settings, both in hell and I guess on Earth with the good guys, the Sentinels. The world building was outstanding. Graphics look great. Visually looks very appealing. Sound design, I thought overall was very good. And while the music may not be memorable, it was still hype and intense. The graphics and the music and the sound design, all that gets an A- from me, just because I don't think the music was super memorable, and music is a huge part of the Doom legacy, but I think you're going to really enjoy it. You'll have no issues with the audio design or the sound design or the visual design in this game. Finally, we have performance, and I can only speak on this as someone who is playing on Steam on a PC, and I will say I had no particular issues in this game. I did not have one single glitch. I did not have one issue loading the game, but I know that that was not the same experience that other people had. My only suggestion, the thing that I heard, was actually from Moist Critical, where he had to update the drivers, and the game gives you the option to update right now or just play on your old drivers. He updated, and it led to a mess, and the game was crashing constantly. I chose to not update, and I had zero issues. So maybe the PC launch was really, really bad if you're on a particular driver. I'm not exactly certain, but what I know is that once the game was up and running, there were no irritating bugs with gameplay, no irritating visual or audio bugs. All of that, the performance went very well. However, it would be silly for me to ignore all the other people that have been having a similar issue in my rating. So I will give the performance a B. When it starts working, it works outstanding. But if you're playing on PC, you may have an issue at the start if you're on the newest driver. If you're thinking about buying the game and haven't bought it yet, maybe check what your PC drivers are at right now. If you need an update, maybe don't. Maybe play through the game anyway. But that's the only issue I've really had. So performance-wise, it gets a B because other people are having serious I can't play the game issues. But me personally, I had none. Those are my grades for those 4 areas of the game now that I've had some time to reflect, but I do want to show you this clip in Finale, which is immediately after the game finished and the end credits are rolling, my pure unadulterated thoughts on the game right after finishing it. I think some of you will find this very useful. Great game. Great game. A real round of applause for this game. I think it's outstanding. Is it worth the price? I would say, being on the other end of it, totally worth the price. It plays different than some of the other ones. They tried something new where they've given you the shield and it's really all about parrying. Not all about parrying. I mean, there's still like 12 or 16 different guns. That's a giant amount of guns. But parrying is like a very integral part of the game. And for some people, I think that's going to make this game their favorite Doom because it's a new thing that they've added and it is a big part. It's not just something you can live without. You have to parry. You have to be up close and personal to get your heals off, all that type of stuff. And I think some people are going to really like that. Other people that just want to run and gun and that's it, they may not like that aspect of it. But I think it was done well. And even if this isn't your favorite Doom game, even if it's your least favorite Doom game, it still might end up being one of the best shooters released this year, if not the best shooter released this year. It's a bad Doom of this caliber is still outstanding, and it might end up being your favorite. So, all in all, I would say outstanding game. Really fun. It succeeds in making me want to play the previous games, and very high praise. Very high praise for this game. 100% worth it.